Heat escaped Charlotte last night at home. It was a good thing that they got the win, but in terms of the Charlotte team that they were facing, they should probably never been in that position to begin with. The fact that Jimmy Butler plays the entire third quarter, playing at an incredible level, turns back around. They have a 13-point lead to start the fourth. He has to re-enter with 8 minutes left in the fourth. Then he has to push into OT, plays 42 minutes. Like, that is just not a great sign when you're talking about this Charlotte team coming to your house in the second night of a back-to-back. Aside from that, we're now at 5 straight games where it's basically going down to the final possession of a game. Like, it's just going down to the wire here. And in 3 of those, they've won. And in those same 3 games, we've seen a similar trend of what they're trying to get to in terms of matchups or sets or actions. So that's what I want to showcase really quickly before I get into the game tonight. Let's look at those trends. And I'm sure you probably know where I'm going with this. The first one is the first one to kind of start this off was the game against the Warriors at home. It's basically what they're trying to get to is just a bunch of inverted pick and rolls or just guard screening. And basically what they were trying to do with that is create matchups. Usually your best defenders, specifically to match up with a wing like Jimmy Butler, are going to be also on the wing or obviously in the front court. Or obviously some teams have taller guards, but mostly there's certain matchups on the court that you're going to get to. Right here, you're going to see Kyle Lowry passing half court. He's not going to be the guy screening here because obviously he has Andrew Wiggins on him. He's going to go down. You're going to see him yelling and telling Gabe, you're going to be the one to screen because he has Steph on him. Wiggins thinks about switching it, but then Kyle would probably just screen anyway. So now Jimmy waits. Obviously, this was the 3-point game against the Warriors. Gabe goes. They don't get the switch that they want, but they just create enough of an advantage where now Clay gets the cutoff at the elbow. That's a win for Jimmy Butler. If you can get to the free throw line or lower off inverted pick and roll, that's going to be a win for you. He goes up and under, kind of hits the bucket in this game. Fast forward to the next game. It's the Kings game. Gabe Vincent, once again, they want that matchup specifically. And obviously, Davion Mitchell was guarding him. They're trying to draw the switch. They get the switch. That was a win. And obviously, you know what happens after here. Travel or not, he ends up hitting the bucket, and they won this game. But you're seeing what they're liking to get to at the end of these games. They're trying to create matchups, trying to create advantages. And obviously, I think that Kyle and Gabe specifically should get some credit because I think they're pretty good screeners in general, trying to get them in these spots. So now let's go to this game last night. We are at 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's 96. Obviously, it's a game where they basically come back. They need buckets down the stretch right here. And as I go back here, you're going to see Jimmy come off like a double drag type play. Bam's going to cut. Kyle's going to get the matchup that he wants. And now he goes. He's going to start breaking him down. He gets inside on Dennis Smith Jr. It's just an easy bucket. Like, if you're going to give him that matchup, give Jimmy that smaller matchup, he's going to go to work. And something differently I could have probably talked about in this breakdown today is just Jimmy's footwork, because it just absolutely was insane last night. The fact that the moves he was putting on and just in general, just perfect footwork inside the lane, but it helps when you can shoot over a Dennis Smith Jr. type. Now, entry pass right here. Once again, they're trying to get these matchups. Kyle's going to screen. He's going to push to get the screen. He's going to just basically take a tough shot. Like, let's just say that's a step back jumper. It's not a good shot, but you're seeing the base that they're trying to get to. And it's just putting so much pressure on the defense because they know it's coming. They know they don't want to switch, but at times you kind of have to. So it gets to a kind of weird point of you don't really know what to do. Now, back to the double drag thing, which is just kind of 2 screens where kind of usually one guy rolls, the other guy pops out. The difference is when you run it right now with 2 guards. Like, we talk about guard screening. They're running this actually with 2 guards screening. And what does that mean? Because first of all, let me just show the play because they don't really get anything out of it. It ends up just running through the screen and then he ends up going downhill. But the reason I go back and say this is important is because when these 2 are screening, you're basically just opening up the floor. Even if you don't get the switch, these 2 defenders that are on the wing right here cannot dip off of either one of them. Those are 2 shooters right there that you can't dip off of. Usually if you're running double drag, you can dip off a Bam or a Dwayne Dedman or even a Caleb Martin maybe. You can play in that drop and you can cut off Jimmy. You can't do that here. That's why the guard screening at the end of the games for Jimmy Butler specifically is so important. So now he's able to operate in space. He gets inside the lane. He can pause. He goes up for the jumper and gets the and one. That's why this stuff is so important. And then the other aspect of this, now when they, like I said before, they know what's coming. There gets a point where now others around Jimmy have to react. They have to make the play now because Jimmy's going to receive all of the pressure now at this point. They gets to his right again. They're going to double him. Basically a double and recover. Now Kyle gets it. You could say that now they can kind of go back to Jimmy and now you're working late in the shot clock. No, this is not what you need to do. Kyle, this is a very good play by Kyle Lowry. Now he goes and makes a play because now that's taking the pressure off of Jimmy a ton, and that's putting even more pressure on the defense. But in general, I'd like to say that I really like this process from Miami in terms of just inverted screens at the end of games, specifically for Jimmy, just because we know what he can do with smaller defenders and we can know what he can do when rolling downhill. The next aspect of this, in terms of guard screening, getting it to Bam consistently. Like, if we could talk about doing it at the games for him, that's another story. But when you can give him guard screening consistently and allow him to go downhill, obviously his finishing last night wasn't at its best. I'd say he had a couple of easy bunnies and layups that he missed. But they need to get this going more often. And obviously Eric Spoelstra after the game, when I asked him, he was pretty adamant that this is pretty high up there on their kind of fourth quarter menu as we speak, just because everybody feels so comfortable with it.